Good evening, my friend. Davis here, speaking softly. Tell me, where are you listening from tonight? And did your day end peacefully? If you're new, subscribe, so you never miss our quiet mysteries. Now, let me guide you into a small English village, a place where voices stay low and secrets stay lower. Tonight's story begins with a whisper. Just one whisper, barely heard, easily missed. But it changes everything. Welcome to the curious case. Miss Marple arrived at Hawthorne House just after noon. She did not rush. She never did. The door opened before she could knock. Martha Lyle stood there, eyes tired, hands tight. "Miss Marple, thank you for coming," she said. Her voice shook. Not from fear, from strain. Miss Marple noted it. She stepped inside. No one spoke immediately. Silence carried more weight than words. Miss Marple recognized that kind of silence. A house waiting for something, or bracing for something. Martha led her to the main room. Clara Whitfield lay on a sofa, blanket pulled up to her chest, breathing uneven, face pale, eyes half open. Henry Whitfield, the nephew, stood nearby, arms crossed, expression stiff. He nodded at Miss Marple, not warmly, not coldly, just guarded. Miss Marple understood that too. Nurse Evelyn Grant checked Clara's pulse. Her movements were brisk, controlled, but her jaw was tight. Another sign, tension, unsaid things. Miss Marple moved closer. "Clara, my dear," she said softly. A small smile touched Clara's lips. She tried to lift a hand. Couldn't. Miss Marple took the hand gently. Light grip. No pressure. Clara reacted to that. Her fingers twitched. A faint response. Henry stepped forward. "She shouldn't speak," he said. Tone firm, too firm. Miss Marple heard the strain behind it. She turned slightly toward him. "I won't tire her," she said. Henry said nothing more, but he didn't step back fully. Another sign. Nurse Evelyn glanced at him. Quick glance, then away. That told Miss Marple plenty. Clara opened her eyes wider. Saw Miss Marple clearly now. Recognition settled. A small breath escaped her. Miss Marple leaned in. Clara's lips moved. Barely a sound. Miss Marple tilted her head. "Careful. Still," Clara whispered. Small, direct, intentional. "Don't let him near the old desk." Each word came slowly, heavy, forced, but clear enough. Miss Marple didn't answer right away. She let the words sink. She watched Clara's eyes. Clara watched hers. Warning. Not confusion. Not fear. A warning. A very specific warning. Miss Marple squeezed her hand once. A signal. Clara blinked. That was her reply. Nurse Evelyn leaned in. "That's enough," she said. Voice steady, but urgent. Clara closed her eyes again. Strength gone. Henry stepped closer again. "Did she say something?" he asked. Too quickly. Miss Marple heard the eagerness under the tone. She noticed Nurse Evelyn's reaction, too. A subtle stiffening. Miss Marple straightened. She did not repeat Clara's words. Instead, she said, "She needs rest." Henry didn't like that answer. His jaw tightened. His hands shifted behind his back. Martha lingered in the doorway, watching, silent, alert. Miss Marple looked at her, then back at Clara, then at Henry, then at the corner of the room where the study door stood closed. A door leading to the old desk. Pieces moved. Small ones, but enough. Miss Marple stepped back. "Call me if her condition changes," she said. Nurse Evelyn nodded. Henry didn't. Miss Marple gave Clara one last glance. Clara's fingers twitched again, as if repeating the message. The warning. Miss Marple understood fully. The old desk mattered, and someone in this house already knew that. She left the room quietly, but her mind was no longer quiet. Not at all. Clara's whisper had started something, and Miss Marple would not ignore it. Someone was already watching her as she stepped into the hall. Miss Marple stepped into the hallway slowly. She did not hurry. Hawthorne House had its own rhythm. A tense one, a strained one, and she needed to feel every part of it. Martha Lyle followed behind her. Her steps were careful, measured, too measured. Miss Marple noticed that. "Martha," Miss Marple said quietly, "how long has Clara been unwell?" Martha paused. "Just a second, but enough. 2 weeks," she said. Her eyes dropped. Her hands tightened. A small motive, Miss Marple thought. Fear, loyalty, or both. Before she could ask more, Dr. Adrian Cole entered the hall. Tall, controlled, face calm, but eyes sharp. He carried a small medical bag. He looked at Martha first, then Miss Marple, then away. Avoided eye contact. Noted. "Doctor," Miss Marple greeted him. He nodded. "She is fading," he said. Cold tone, too flat, no grief. Miss Marple marked that. "Her decline was sudden?" Miss Marple asked. Another pause, barely half a breath, but real. "Yes," he said. His jaw tightened. "Very sudden." Martha looked down again. Her lips pressed together. 2 reactions, 2 tensions, 1 truth hiding under both. Miss Marple let the moment settle. Then Henry Whitfield entered from the study. He closed the door behind him quickly. Too quickly. He forced a smile. "Still here, Miss Marple," she observed him. His collar slightly turned, his cuffs dusty, his hands not steady. She said nothing. Henry disliked that. He stepped closer. "Clara needs peace," he said, a warning tone. Soft, but sharp. Miss Marple watched him without blinking. His eyes flicked toward the study door, then away. Avoided eye contact. Caught. Miss Marple said, "You were in the study?" Henry froze, only for a second. "Yes." "Papers," he said. Quick, unprepared. Martha shifted behind Miss Marple. Uncomfortable. Worried. Good, Miss Marple thought. More signs, more cracks. Nurse Evelyn Grant appeared next. She held a clipboard, shoulders tight, eyes tired. She looked at Henry first, then down. Miss Marple saw that reaction immediately. Fear. Not of illness, of him. "Nurse Grant," Miss Marple said. "How is Clara now?" Nurse Grant hesitated. Another pause. Too many pauses in this house. "She's resting," she said. Voice firm, but hands shaking slightly. Henry cut in. "No need for visitors now." Not a request, a command. Miss Marple ignored him lightly. She looked at Martha. Martha looked at the floor. She looked at Dr. Cole. He looked at the window. She looked at Nurse Grant. She looked at Henry. No one looked at each other. Every pair of eyes avoided the next. A pattern, a fear, a secret threading through all of them. Miss Marple clasped her hands, calm, still, watching everything, missing nothing. Henry stepped closer again. Clara didn't like people interfering, he said. Miss Marple nodded once. Most people say that when they have something to hide. A sharp silence followed. Quick, uncomfortable, heavy. "Doctor." Cole cleared his throat. "Martha, check on Clara." He didn't meet her eyes. She left quickly. Nurse Grant stepped back toward the bedroom. Henry stayed in the hall, too close to the study door, too tense, too aware of Miss Marple's attention. Miss Marple watched their movements. Small, simple, revealing. The house had 4 people, each with a motive, each with tension, each hiding something. And Miss Marple knew one thing with certainty. Clara whispered danger, and the danger was standing in this hall. Clara died the next morning, quietly. No struggle. No final words. Just a slow breath. Then stillness. Martha cried softly. Nurse Grant folded Clara's hands. Dr. Adrian Cole gave a short nod. Henry stood at the foot of the bed, face set, eyes unreadable. Miss Marple watched. Everyone. She said little. She rarely needed many words. By noon, Solicitor Rufus Glenford arrived. Thin man, sharp glasses, quick steps. He carried a leather folder, held it tight. "We should proceed," he said. No one disagreed. They gathered in the sitting room, chairs spread in a circle, heavy silence between them. Miss Marple sat near the corner, a place to watch all faces. Mr. Glenford opened the folder. He cleared his throat, then began. "This is the last will and testament of Clara Whitfield." Henry shifted, impatient, hands clasped, eyes fixed on the solicitor. Mr. Glenford read through the formalities. Slow, controlled. Martha kept her head low. Nurse Grant stood by the doorway. Dr. Cole leaned back, unreadable. Then came the important part. Clara Whitfield leaves Hawthorne House, along with all personal contents to Martha Lyle. Silence froze. For one long second, no one breathed. Then Martha gasped, a sharp trembling sound. She held her apron. Shocked, confused, scared. Henry stood up so fast the chair scraped. "That's impossible," he said. Short, hard, angry. Mr. Glenford did not flinch. "These are Clara's wishes." Henry stepped forward. Too close, too tense. Clara would never leave this house to a servant. Martha shook her head. I knew nothing about this." Miss Marple studied Henry. The twitch in his jaw, the flare in his eyes, the breath he dragged in slowly. Dangerous signs. Mr. Glenford continued, voice steady. "There are additional notes." He paused. "Small financial gifts to Nurse Grant and Dr. Cole." Both nodded politely. Henry's hands curled into fists. "And me?" he asked, voice tight, almost shaking. Mr. Glenford looked at his paper. "You received 3 personal items, by Martha's permission." Henry's face changed. Not grief, not loss. Something darker. Something calculating. 3 items, he repeated. Low, cold, as if testing the words. "Yes," Mr. Glenford said. Clara was clear. Henry looked at Martha, a slow stare, sharp, focused, predatory. "Interesting," he said, barely a whisper, but heavy enough to chill the room, a subtle threat, spoken like a warning. Meant for Martha, meant for anyone listening. Miss Marple heard it clearly. She watched how Martha froze, how Nurse Grant glanced away, how Dr. Cole stiffened. Henry sat down again, but his eyes, they never left Martha. Mr. Glenford closed the folder. "That concludes the reading." No one moved. Miss Marple folded her hands, calm, still, but her mind worked quickly. Clara changed her will for a reason, a serious reason, and Henry had just confirmed it without saying a single direct word. Miss Marple now knew one thing. Henry wanted more than 3 items. He wanted the house, and he would not stop there. Miss Marple waited until the others stepped away. The sitting room emptied slowly. Martha, left first, still shaken. Nurse Grant followed, quiet and tense. Dr. Cole went to fetch his bag. Henry lingered. Too long. Then finally walked out. Miss Marple used the silence. She moved toward Clara's study. The door was half closed. Not fully. That mattered. She pushed it gently. The hinges complained softly. Inside, the study felt untouched. But Miss Marple knew better. Her eyes went straight to the writing desk. Clara's old desk. The one Clara had warned about. The one Clara feared. Miss Marple stepped closer. Slow steps. Light steps. She examined the lock first. Scratches. Fresh ones. Thin marks around the keyhole. Not clumsy scratches. Focused ones. Made by someone trying to force it quietly. Miss Marple bent slightly. She didn't touch the lock, just observed. Observed carefully. Someone had tried to open it last night, or early morning. The desk surface had dust, but not everywhere. A section near the lock was wiped. Wiped recently. Miss Marple traced the edge with her eyes. A hand had rested there. Pressed down hard, likely in frustration. She checked the carpet next. Dust shifted. Small marks. Not footprints. Knee marks. Someone had knelt to work at the lock. Someone determined. Someone confident they would not be interrupted. Miss Marple straightened. The key was missing. Not misplaced. Removed. Taken. Someone knew exactly what they were looking for. Her gaze moved to the bookcase. A few books were slightly crooked, not enough for chaos, just enough to show they were handled, checked, rejected. Someone was searching for something specific, something hidden. Miss Marple moved to the window. She didn't look outside. She looked at the latch, recently touched, thumb pressure visible in the dust. The window had been opened, or tested. Another sign. Another attempt to access the study from outside. She stepped back to the middle of the room, calm, still, thinking. Then she felt it. A presence, a weight, not in the room, above it. She lifted her eyes slowly to the upper landing. A shadow moved, just a shift, a slight lean. Someone watching, someone gauging her movements. Miss Marple didn't react. She kept her posture relaxed. She looked back at the desk, pretending she saw nothing. The shadow retreated. Quiet steps. Soft floorboards. Gone. Miss Marple allowed one thought to surface. One clear, logical thought. Someone in this house knew Clara's secret. Someone had tried to reach the desk before Clara died. Someone was still trying now. She glanced at the desk again. Clara had feared this exact thing. Her warning made perfect sense. Miss Marple touched the desk gently, not to open it, just to acknowledge it. This desk held the heart of the mystery, and someone upstairs would do anything to open it. Miss Marple turned toward the hallway and the shadow returned. Miss Marple visited Mrs. Lydia Harrow that same afternoon. She chose her. Moment well. Lydia disliked surprises, but she liked truth, and Miss Marple needed truth. Lydia opened the door herself. No hesitation, just a direct look, a sharp one. "Jane," she said, "you've come about Clara." Miss Marple nodded. "Yes." Lydia led her to a small sitting room. Simple chairs, simple table, quiet space, perfect for direct talk. Saturday. Lydia folded her hands. Miss Marple waited. Lydia always spoke in her own time. "She's gone now," Lydia said softly. Miss Marple nodded once. "Yes." Lydia sighed. Long breath. Heavy breath. Not grief. Memory. "She carried too much," Lydia said. Miss Marple watched her closely. "What kind of weight?" Lydia looked at the window. Not outside, just away. A sign she was reaching into the past. "Old quarrels," Lydia said first. Clara and her brother argued for years. He accused her of meddling. She accused him of deceit. Neither stepped back. Miss Marple filed that. Neatly. "Henry's father?" she asked. Lydia nodded. "Yes. Henry inherited his temper and his ambition." Miss Marple leaned forward slightly. "And his disputes?" Lydia hesitated, then nodded again. "A financial one," she said. "Money moved. Accounts hidden. Clara found out." Miss Marple absorbed each fragment. "Did she expose him?" "No," Lydia said. "She protected the family, even when she shouldn't have." Miss Marple felt the shape of a motive forming. Quiet. Sharp. Old. Lydia continued. "There was also the romance." Her tone shifted. Softer, but troubled. Miss Marple waited. Lydia spoke slowly. "Clara fell in love young, very young, with a man her family hated." "A secret romance," Miss Marple said. "Yes," Lydia replied. "Secret, intense, but broken. Her family forced it to end. There was a scandal, small, but sharp enough to wound her." "Do you know the man's name?" Miss Marple asked. Lydia nodded. "Daniel Mercer." The name landed hard, heavy, meaningful. Miss Marple didn't react outwardly, but inside, threads connected. Daniel Mercer. The same initial Clara kept hidden? Possibly. Likely. Lydia lowered her voice. There was shame attached to that romance. Something Clara never explained. Something she never forgave. "What kind of shame?" Miss Marple asked. "Direct. Focused." Lydia hesitated longer this time, then spoke. "A child was whispered about. Not confirmed. Just whispered." Miss Marple's eyes sharpened. And Henry's father? He used that whisper once, Lydia said, against Clara. During their worst quarrel, he accused her of hiding more than money. She nearly fainted from the blow of it. Another motive. Another wound. Miss Marple kept her voice calm. And Clara carried this all her life? Yes, Lydia said. She buried the scandal, buried the romance, buried the shame. But she never buried the truth about the money. Miss Marple watched Lydia's face. No lie, no exaggeration, just truth, painful truth. Then Lydia leaned closer. Jane, Clara feared someone, deeply. She told me last month. She said the past was moving again, old shadows returning. Miss Marple felt the tension shift. Cold, focused. And now Clara is gone, Lydia whispered. Miss Marple stood slowly. Her thoughts were already moving. The quarrels, the romance, the financial dispute, the buried shame, the name Daniel Mercer, too many threads, all pointing to danger, and one shadow in Hawthorne Village knew every one of them. Miss Marple returned to Clara's private room just before dusk. She chose a quiet moment. No footsteps in the hall, no voices behind the door, just stillness. Martha followed her closely, nervous, hands trembling. "Are you sure we should do this?" Martha whispered. Miss Marple nodded once. Clara wanted something found. Martha swallowed. Fear visible, unhidden. Miss Marple noticed each detail. She opened the small wardrobe. Clothes untouched, nothing disturbed. Then she checked the bedside table. Only pills. A cloth. A single hairpin. Not important. Then Miss Marple turned to the sewing cabinet. Small, old. Clara kept it beside her room for decades. Miss Marple opened the top drawer. Thread. Needles. Buttons. Nothing of use. She opened the second drawer. Same. Patterns. Fabric. Simple items. Then she pulled the third drawer. Stiff. Resisted slightly. Miss Marple paused. Then opened it fully. Inside lay a small bundle of letters, tied with thin ribbon. Old paper. Weak edges. Much handled. Much hidden. Martha gasped softly. Miss Marple did not touch the letters yet. She observed first. The ribbon was frayed. Someone had untied and retied it many times. Not recently, but not decades old either. Beside the letters sat a faded photograph, edges worn, colors faint. It showed a young man, serious eyes, firm posture. "Who is he?" Martha whispered, her voice thin, afraid of the answer. Miss Marple examined the corners. The back had initials. DM. Strong strokes. Clear writing. Daniel Mercer. Miss Marple said the name softly. Martha stepped back. "That name again," she said, fear rising, her breathing uneven. Miss Marple placed the photograph down carefully. Then she saw the metal tin. Small, square, locked, a slight dent on one side. "What's that?" Martha asked. Miss Marple lifted it lightly. It rattled faintly. "Something inside. Something important. The key is missing," Miss Marple said. "Logical. Expected." Martha wrung her hands. What if someone already tried to open it? Miss Marple nodded. Someone did. She showed her the scratch marks. Thin, precise, recent. Martha shivered. Miss Marple continued. "We will not force it. Clara hid this intentionally. Then she found it, a flat shape behind the lachins. Letters. She lifted it gently. A pressed hawthorn flower. White once, now pale. Still intact. Martha covered her mouth. Why would she keep that? Miss Marple looked at the flower, then at the photograph, then at the tin. "Because," she said, "some memories refuse to die." Martha stepped closer. "Is this about that man? The one she loved?" Miss Marple nodded. This flower meant something. Something linked to Daniel Mercer. Something she kept hidden from everyone. Martha trembled. "Miss Marple, what if someone knew she kept all this?" Miss Marple turned sharply. "That is exactly what we must consider." Martha backed away slowly. fear rising. Her voice cracked. What if that person is still here, in this house? Miss Marple placed the tin back in the drawer. She closed it quietly. Behind them, a floorboard creaked. Not by accident. The house settled into night slowly. Lights dimmed. Doors clicked. Footsteps faded. But Miss Marple did not sleep. Her instincts kept her awake. She sat in her guest room chair, listening, thinking, reviewing every word from Clara, every reaction from Henry, every tremble from Martha, every pause from Nurse Grant. Then she heard it. Footsteps, soft, measured, not random. Miss Marple moved closer to the door. She listened again. The steps past her room. Slow glide. No hesitation. Then a faint tap, a window latch shifting, metal scraping. Quiet, but intentional. Miss Marple opened her door by an inch. She did not lean out. She observed from stillness. A shadow moved down the hallway. Tall, broad shoulders, deliberate steps. Heading toward Clara's room. Miss Marple waited, then followed. Silent, small steps. Always in rhythm with the intruder. Clara's bedroom door opened slowly. No creak. Someone had prepared for that. The intruder slipped inside. Miss Marple stopped at the doorway. She watched the figure go straight to the dresser. Drawers opened sharply. Clothes tossed aside. Papers lifted. Rejected. More drawers opened. More items rifled. A search. A fast, desperate search. Then the figure turned. Moonlight touched the face for a second. Henry. Jaw tight. Eyes fierce. Breath fast. Miss Marple stepped back quickly. Henry did not see her. He returned to his search. He tore open Clara's sewing box. Nothing. He swore under his breath. Low. Angry. Then another sound. Another presence. Martha. Standing at the hallway corner. Hands clasped in fear. Henry saw her instantly. He froze. Then advanced. Fast. Controlled. Dangerous. "What are you doing up?" he asked. Voice sharp. Too sharp. Martha stepped back. "I heard noise," she whispered. Henry closed the distance. "You didn't hear anything." Martha shook her head. "You're in Clara's room." "You shouldn't be." Henry leaned in, a threat forming in his voice. "You will forget this. Completely." Martha trembled. Miss Marple moved. She stepped between them without hesitation. "That's enough," Miss Marple said. Her tone calm, firm, controlled. Henry straightened, eyes cold. "She shouldn't wander the house at night." Miss Marple met his stare without blinking. "Neither should you." Henry's jaw twitched. He said nothing. He stepped past them. Shoulder tense. Walk stiff. He disappeared down the stairs. Martha held her breath. Her hands shook violently now. Miss Marple guided her back to the guest room. "Stay with me tonight," she said. Martha nodded, tearful, shaken. She sat on the edge of Miss Marple's bed, afraid to speak, afraid to breathe. Miss Marple closed the door quietly, locked it. A rare action, but necessary. She placed a chair against the door. Another rare action, but also necessary. Martha whispered. He was looking for the tin. Miss Marple nodded. So was she. So was someone else. And now Henry knew she knew too. And Miss Marple sensed Henry would not stop at threats. Morning came slowly for everyone except Miss Marple. She slept little. She needed little. Her mind was sharper after a night of observation. Martha looked drained, eyes swollen, hands unsteady. She stayed close to Miss Marple as they made their way downstairs. "Tea will help," Miss Marple said. Martha nodded weakly, but her fear had not faded. Miss Marple reached the front hallway and paused. Her eyes narrowed. Something outside had changed. Something subtle. She moved toward the window carefully, not fast, not obvious. A figure stood near the hawthorn tree, thin, still, wrapped in a black shawl, face hidden, posture rigid, not moving, not shifting, just watching Hawthorne House. Miss Marple did not blink. She studied the stance, the distance, the angle. This woman was not lost, not passing by, not wandering. She was positioned, deliberately, waiting. Martha stepped beside her, then froze. "Oh, her again," Martha whispered. Miss Marple glanced at her. "You've seen her before?" Martha nodded. "Twice. Both times near the tree. Both times at dusk." Miss Marple considered that. "Did she ever approach the house?" "No," Martha said. "But she watches it, like she knows it." Before Miss Marple could respond, the woman turned her head, slowly, carefully, almost wary. Miss Marple stiffened, not from fear, from recognition of pattern. This woman was not hiding from the house. She was hiding from someone inside it. Then the woman stepped back, not a full step, just enough to look unsure, enough to show she was deciding whether to flee or stay. Miss Marple opened the window latch quietly. She intended to call out. But the woman moved first. She slipped behind the tree, then vanished, gone in seconds. Martha gasped. She always disappears like that. Miss Marple closed the window. No rush, no alarm, just thought, deep thought. She walked to Clara's study next. Martha followed, still nervous, still shaken. Miss Marple pushed the door open. The desk sat untouched, at least on the surface, but something was different. The curtains shifted slightly, not from wind, from movement. Miss Marple walked deeper into the room. She approached the desk, then looked to the side window. There she was, the same woman, black shawl, hidden face, standing behind the tree again, watching the study window directly. Martha saw her too. Her voice cracked. "Why would she stare at Clara's room?" Miss Marple answered quietly. "Because she knows what Clara kept hidden." The woman stared at the window for 3 slow seconds, then slipped away again, vanishing behind the hedge. Miss Marple remained still. Her mind worked fast. 2 suspects now, 2 motives, 2 paths leading toward Clara's secrets. Henry wanted the tin, wanted the truth buried. This woman, she wanted the truth exposed, or recovered. Opposite aims, same destination. And Miss Marple knew that one of them would return before nightfall. Miss Marple stepped outside quietly. She needed facts, not guesses, not fears. Facts. Martha followed her to the doorway but stayed inside. Miss Marple continued alone. A calm walk, a measured pace. Nothing rushed. She circled toward the side of the house, straight to the study window. The same place Henry watched. The same place the woman in the shawl returned to again and again. Miss Marple knelt slowly. She examined the ground first. Soil, thin patches, not flat. Then she saw them. Footprints. Clear enough, fresh enough. One set deep, strong weight, heavy boot. Likely Henry. The second set was much lighter, smaller, thin soles, careful steps. Likely the woman in the shawl. 2 suspects confirmed, 2 trails, 2 agendas. Miss Marple followed the heavier prints first. They moved close to the wall. Very close. A man trying not to be seen. Logical. The prints stopped under the study window. She raised her eyes. The latch was scratched. Same marks as the desk lock. Same hand. Same pressure. Someone tried to get in from outside. Likely Henry. She continued tracking. The heavier prints turned toward the back of the house. Miss Marple moved with them, 1 step at a time. Behind the house she paused. Something caught her eye. A shape near the back door. She walked closer. A glove. Black. Leather. Left-hand glove. She lifted it gently by the edge. The wrist seam had a tear. Not old. Recent. A glove ripped during a break-in attempt. Henry had worn gloves the day before. Miss Marple remembered. She always remembered details others ignored. She placed the glove on the ledge and continued. Next, she saw a glint near the steps. Small, metal, barely visible. She bent down. A tiny shard. Silver tone. Perfect shape. The missing hinge from the metal tin. She knew it instantly. She held it between her fingers. Light, sharp edge, fresh break. The tin had been dropped, forced, or mishandled in desperation. Likely during Henry's frantic search. Miss Marple pocketed the metal piece. A crucial clue, a direct link. She continued toward the garden. Her shoes pressed lightly across the grass. She scanned everything, each mark, each shift in soil, each broken line in the grass. Then she reached the far side of the house. There it was, a narrow path, barely used, half hidden, leading away from Hawthorne House, not toward the main road, not toward the village, but toward the woods at the edge of the property. Miss Marple studied the path. Not for beauty, for logic. Someone traveled this route often. Someone who avoided the front entrance. Someone who did not want to be seen. Light footprints dotted the path. Thin soles. The same pattern she saw near the window. The woman in the shawl. Coming and going. Quietly. Purposefully. Miss Marple stepped back. She looked from the glove to the footprints to the metal shard to the narrow hidden path. 4 clues, 4 truths, 4 trails pointing in one direction. Someone was moving through this property at night, ignoring rooms, ignoring people, searching for only one thing, and Miss Marple now knew the search was far from over. Miss Marple returned to Clara's private room after lunch. Martha followed her nervously. She kept glancing at the door, as if expecting Henry to appear again. Miss Marple opened the sewing drawer, carefully. No rush, no sudden movements. She lifted the bundle of letters. The ribbon fell loose. Old paper shifted. Ink faded, but readable. Martha stepped closer. What do they say? Miss Marple read the first page. Her eyes tightened. Not in shock. In confirmation. Clara knew, Miss Marple said softly. Knew what? Martha whispered. Miss Marple handed her the top letter. Martha read slowly. Her hands trembled. The letter described hidden accounts, large sums, transferred without permission, moved quietly through a local firm, signed by Henry's father. Martha looked up fast. Is this real? Yes, Miss Marple said. Clara kept every document. Miss Marple opened another letter, this one firmer, sharper. Clara's handwriting forceful. She confronted him, Miss Marple said, her tone flat, measuring each word. Martha swallowed. Her brother? Yes. Henry's father, a man with ambition, and no fear of crossing moral lines. Miss Marple read the next page, a warning written by Clara. Short lines, urgent notes. Clara feared exposure would harm the family, Miss Marple said, but she also feared his retaliation. Martha leaned closer, then froze. What does this mean? Miss Marple read it aloud. If he threatens again, I will place the evidence where it must be found. Martha covered her mouth. So he did threaten her? Yes, Miss Marple said. More than once. Another letter explained the pattern. Hidden transactions. Funds moved quietly. Clara discovered everything, then confronted him. Martha pointed at a sentence. Look, that line. Miss Marple read it silently, then nodded. It says he tried to silence her. Martha's voice shook. Silence? How? Miss Marple scanned the next letter, then answered. He threatened to expose her past, the scandal from her youth, the romance, the shame she tried to bury. Martha stepped back. Henry's father used that against her? Yes. And more. Miss Marple unfolded another page. This one had numbers, dates, amounts, names of shell accounts. This is proof, Martha whispered. He stole money. Miss Marple nodded, and Clara held all the evidence. Martha looked at the drawer, at the tin, at the photograph, at the hawthorn flower. Miss Marple. Clara kept all this because she planned to tell someone? Miss Marple answered slowly. Yes. Or protect someone. Or expose someone. We do not know yet. She returned to the last letter. It was short, but the most important. If anything happens to me, Miss Marple read aloud, the truth is already prepared. Martha backed away, fear rising again. Someone knew she had these letters. Miss Marple agreed. Yes, and someone feared the truth would surface. She folded the letters neatly, then placed them back in order. This was not a simple dispute, not a small secret. This was motive. Strong, deep, dangerous. Henry's father had tried to silence Clara years ago, and Henry had inherited more than the property dispute. He had inherited the fear of what Clara kept hidden and the rage to destroy it. Miss Marple placed the letters aside. Then she reached for the faded photograph, the one marked with the initials D.M. Daniel Mercer. She held it under the lamp. Light helped reveal the screamers. Details. Sharp jaw, steady gaze, young, confident. A man Clara clearly cared for. Martha stepped forward nervously. That's the same man from the earlier drawer, isn't it? Yes, Miss Marple said. And he is the key to the second truth. Martha swallowed. What truth? Miss Marple pointed to the initials again. Clara was engaged to him secretly. Martha trembled. She never mentioned him. No, Miss Marple said. She couldn't. The family disapproved. The romance was hidden. She placed the photograph flat on the desk. Her eyes focused. Her mind connected threads quickly. Daniel disappeared, Miss Marple said. Suddenly. No warning. Martha frowned. Why? There were rumors, Miss Marple replied. Rumors of betrayal. Rumors of shame. Rumors of a child. Martha stepped back. A child? Miss Marple nodded. Clara never denied the rumor. She never confirmed it either. Martha covered her mouth. Could the child be alive? Possible, Miss Marple said, but not documented here. Still, the rumor alone damaged Clara deeply. Martha lowered her voice. So, Daniel left her? Miss Marple shook her head. I do not think he left willingly. Martha froze. What do you mean? Miss Marple lifted another page. A torn letter. Daniel's handwriting. Cut off mid-sentence. It appears he planned to meet Clara, Miss Marple said, but never arrived. He vanished on the same day Clara's brother confronted him. Martha's breath hitched. Her brother again. Yes, Miss Marple said. His interference was not only financial, he targeted Daniel too. Martha gripped the back of the chair, fear rising. Miss Marple continued. Now consider the woman in the shawl. Thin, silent, always watching the house, always near the hawthorn tree. Martha nodded slowly. She feels familiar somehow, but I don't know. Why? Miss Marple tapped the photograph. Because she resembles Daniel. Not exactly, but enough. Martha's voice cracked. You think she's related? Yes, Miss Marple said. Daniel's sister, Eliza Mercer. Martha stepped backward, hand on her chest. She's the one watching the study window. Of course, Miss Marple said. She knows Clara hid something for her brother. She knows something inside this house belongs to her family. Martha looked terrified now. So she came to take it? Or protect it, Miss Marple said. Not all watchers act out of greed. Some act out of grief. Martha looked at the photograph again. Does she know Clara is dead? Yes, Miss Marple said calmly. And that changes everything. Because now the secrets Clara hid were unprotected. Now both Henry and Eliza had reasons to claim what she left behind. Both had motives. Strong motives. Dangerous motives. Miss Marple placed the photograph down slowly. Two suspects, two histories, two paths merging into one outcome. And Miss Marple knew the next move would not come from Henry but from the woman in the black shawl. Henry found Miss Marple in the hallway. He blocked her path, arms crossed, expression tight. We need to talk, he said. Not polite, not patient, demanding. Miss Marple nodded. Then let us talk. He stepped closer. Why are you looking through Clara's things? Miss Marple met his eyes calmly. I look where truth hides. Henry scowled. Meaning? You searched her room last night, Miss Marple said. Direct. Sharp. Simple. Henry's jaw shifted. That is a lie. Miss Marple tilted her head. You wore gloves. You forced drawers. You rifled the cabinet. Henry stiffened. Prove it. I don't need to, Miss Marple said. You know what you did. His face tightened further. He looked away for a moment, then faced her again. I was looking for documents, he admitted. But nothing harmful, just family papers. Miss Marple did not blink. What kind of papers? Henry hesitated. Too long. Then he said, Financial papers. Miss Marple stepped closer. You mean the ones your father hid? Henry froze, hands clenched, eyes wide for a second. A real reaction. You know nothing about that, he said quietly, barely controlled. Miss Marple held her calm. Clara kept letters. She kept records. She kept every detail your father hoped to bury. Henry's face flushed. That was years ago. Crimes do not age, Miss Marple said. Guilt does not fade. Henry looked away again, nervous now, breathing uneven. She had no right to keep those papers, he muttered. They were not hers. Miss Marple's voice remained soft. They were evidence. Henry's jaw locked. I didn't hurt her, he snapped. Miss Marple raised a brow. I did not say you did. He shook his head. His voice cracked slightly. I didn't. Whatever you think, I didn't harm her. Miss Marple watched every movement, every twitch, every shift. You argued with her, she said. You threatened Martha. You searched the study. You tried to enter from outside. You ripped your glove. Henry swallowed, fright visible now, but he tried to mask it. I needed the papers, he said. Only the papers. Miss Marple leaned in slightly. And the metal tin? Henry tensed. Too quickly, too sharply. I don't know anything about a tin. Miss Marple's eyes hardened. That is your weakest lie yet. Henry stepped back. He rubbed his hands anxiously. You think I killed Clara, he said, tone rising, fear mixing with anger. I think Clara feared you, Miss Marple replied. Her last words warned against you. Henry froze again. Genuine panic flickered, only for a moment. What? What did she say? He asked, trying to sound calm, failing. Miss Marple did not tell him. She studied him instead, silent, still, judging every detail. Henry broke eye contact first. He stepped back, shoulders tense, hands shaking. I didn't touch Clara, he repeated, and I won't stand accused by you. Miss Marple let him go. He walked away fast, too shaken. And Miss Marple knew one thing: Henry was lying, but not about everything. Miss Marple stepped outside again. She needed proof, real proof, not guesses, not suspicions. Clara's warning pointed to one thing: the metal tin. If the tin was missing, someone had taken it. If someone had taken it, they had something to hide, or something to protect. Miss Marple needed to know which. She walked toward the hawthorn tree, calm pace, eyes sharp, mind focused. The ground near the tree looked ordinary from a distance. But Miss Marple never trusted first impressions. She stepped closer, then stopped. Not random. A clear sign. Fresh disturbed soil. Not wide, not deep. A simple patch, flattened in a hurry. Done by someone with no time to waste. She knelt slowly. Her fingers traced the soil lightly. Soft, loose, moved recently, within hours, not days. Someone had dug here. Someone searching. Someone desperate. Miss Marple brushed aside a thin layer of earth. She did not dig fully. She only checked enough to confirm. And she saw it. A small metal fragment. Same color. Same texture. Same size as the tin hinge she pocketed earlier. She lifted it gently. A broken hinge. Snapped clean. Fresh break. Someone had pulled the tin from the ground too quickly, forced it open, damaged it in the process. Miss Marple placed the fragment in her pocket. She now held two pieces, two clues that connected. She examined the soil again. The hole had been shallow. Whoever dug it knew exactly where to dig. No hesitation, no searching marks. This was not an accident. Someone already knew. Clara hid the tin here. Miss Marple stood. She surveyed the area. Her eyes followed the line of trampled grass. A subtle trail leading away from the tree, toward the side of the house. She followed it slowly. Small bends in the grass, light depressions, enough to mark a path without breaking it fully. The path ended near the study window. The same window Henry tried to open. The same window Eliza Mercer watched from outside. 2 suspects, 1 path, same destination. Miss Marple inspected the base of the window. Soil gathered in small clumps. Same soil from the tree. Someone had knelt here with the tin. She pictured the movement. Someone digs, someone takes the tin, someone runs to the window, someone tries to open it, someone fails, someone panics, and someone flees before being seen. Miss Marple touched the frame lightly. Cold wood, fresh marks, a slight dent from metal hitting it. Likely the tin. She turned toward the garden again. The soil patch, the broken hinge, the trail, the window, all pointed to one truth. The tin had been found. The tin had been opened. The tin was now empty. And someone in this house held its contents, hidden, protected, or ready to destroy. Miss Marple let out a slow breath. She understood Clara's fear now. The tin carried more than memories. It carried danger, real danger. And Miss Marple knew the person who took the tin would strike again because the truth inside it was worth killing for. Miss Marple waited near the hawthorn tree at dusk. She knew Eliza Mercer would return. People driven by truth always returned to the place holding it. The light dimmed slowly. The garden grew still. Then Miss Marple heard soft steps behind her. She did not turn. She simply said, "You've watched this house twice today." Silence followed, a tense silence. Then a thin voice answered, "You saw me." Miss Marple turned now. The woman in the black shawl stood a few paces away, face pale, eyes sharp. Eliza Mercer. Miss Marple nodded. "I did." Eliza pulled the shawl tighter. "You're not afraid?" "No," Miss Marple said. Fear and truth rarely travel together. Eliza hesitated, then stepped closer. Her hands shook, not from threat, from memory. "You're Clara's friend?" she asked. "Yes," Eliza nodded slowly. "She kept something of mine." Miss Marple studied her face. "Something of your brother's." Eliza flinched, so the guess was correct. "Daniel," Miss Marple said. Soft, direct. Eliza's eyes filled. "He died years ago. No one here cared. No one told the truth." Miss Marple waited. Eliza continued. Her voice cracked. "They blamed him. They called him a liar, a thief, a coward. But he wasn't any of that." Miss Marple asked, "Did Clara know?" "Yes," Eliza said. "She knew everything. She tried to protect him, but she paid for it." Miss Marple stayed silent. Eliza kept going. She was blackmailed. Miss Marple leaned forward. "By whom?" Eliza looked toward the house. "Her brother. And then Henry." Miss Marple absorbed that. Logical, predictable, dangerous. Eliza stepped closer. She kept documents, real documents, about the fraud, about the money, about the threats. "Yes," Miss Marple said. "They were in the metal tin." Eliza nodded. "I knew she hid it. I just never knew where. Not until now." Miss Marple studied her carefully. "Why return tonight?" Eliza exhaled sharply. "Because Clara is gone, and the truth is exposed. The tin was dug up. It's empty now." Miss Marple nodded. "I found the broken hinge." Eliza's voice tightened. "Who has the documents?" "I do not know yet," Miss Marple said. "But someone inside that house took them." Eliza looked stricken. "She wanted me to have them. Daniel's name was ruined. Clara kept the proof so I could clear it." Miss Marple asked, "What happened to Daniel?" Eliza looked away. "He was confronted, threatened, cornered. He fled to protect Clara. He planned to return, but he didn't make it." Miss Marple watched her carefully. "An accident?" "No," Eliza whispered. "A message." Miss Marple felt the chill of logic settle. Daniel had been silenced. Clara had been controlled. Now the documents that proved the truth were missing. Eliza wiped a tear. I only want what belongs to him. Miss Marple nodded. And someone else wants it destroyed. The air shifted. A twig snapped behind the hedge. Someone listening. Someone too close. Miss Marple held Eliza's gaze. Stay very still, she whispered. We are not alone. Miss Marple returned to the house with purpose. Eliza stayed hidden behind the hawthorn tree. It was safer. For now. Miss Marple walked straight to Clara's study. She closed the door behind her. Locked it. A rare choice. But necessary. She placed the metal fragments on the desk. 2 hinges. Both broken. Both from the same tin. Someone had opened it brutally. Someone had found its contents. Someone had taken the truth. Miss Marple sat down. She opened the sewing drawer again. She took out the faded letters. She took out the photograph. She took out the pressed hawthorn flower. She arranged them neatly. A pattern appeared. A path. A story. A motive. Then she reached into the back of the drawer. Her fingers brushed something thin, something flat, something small. She paused, then pulled it out slowly. A miniature ledger, barely larger than her palm. Thin, worn, hidden deep. Martha gasped when she entered. What is that? Miss Marple held it carefully. Clara's shield, and Clara's weapon. Martha stepped closer. Her fear turned into shock. What's inside? Miss Marple opened the ledger. The first page told everything. Names written in Clara's careful handwriting. Dates beside each. Name, amounts beside each date. Martha read the first line aloud. Jonathan Whitfield. Henry's father. Miss Marple nodded. Stolen funds. Transferred quietly. Hidden under different accounts. Martha pointed to another line. Look at this. The same exact date Clara confronted him. Miss Marple read it. Yes. She wrote that down to protect herself. Martha's voice tightened. She was tracking everything he stole. And everything he threatened, Miss Marple said. Miss Marple turned another page. More entries. More names. More stolen funds. Then she reached the final section. It was short, but powerful. Clara had written something at the bottom. A simple sentence. A confession. A plan. If something happens to me, this ledger must be given to the rightful hands. Martha covered her mouth. Eliza, she whispered. She meant Eliza. Miss Marple nodded. Clara wanted Daniel's name cleared. She wanted the fraud exposed. She wanted the truth to outlive her. Martha trembled. So Clara planned to reveal everything after her death? Yes, Miss Marple said. She hid the ledger in the tin so no one inside the house could destroy it. Martha's voice cracked. Then that tin was the reason she was killed. Miss Marple did not soften the truth. Yes, the tin held motive. Pure motive. Martha sank into a chair. So Henry? Miss Marple answered quietly. Henry believed the ledger would damage everything he inherited. He feared it. He wanted it gone, Martha whispered, and Eliza wanted it revealed. Exactly, Miss Marple said. 2 sides, 2 goals, 1 ledger. Miss Marple closed the ledger gently. She held it with both hands. This was the final piece. Clara's voice on paper. Clara's truth preserved. She stood. Decision clear. This ledger would decide everything. And someone in the house already knew it was missing. And that someone was walking toward the study door at that exact moment. Inspector Leonard Burton arrived before sunset. Firm steps. Steady gaze. No delay. Miss Marple had sent for him as soon as she found the ledger. He entered Clara's study quietly. Miss Marple stood beside the desk. The ledger rested between them. A silent witness. Miss Marple, he said. You sounded urgent. It is urgent, she replied. We have reached the end. Burton nodded. Then tell me. Miss Marple opened the ledger to the first marked page. She explained each detail. Each name. Each stolen amount. Each date linking Henry's father to fraud. Burton tightened his jaw. So Clara held all this? Yes, Miss Marple said. She planned to reveal everything if anything happened to her. Burton lowered his voice. And something did happen. Miss Marple continued. Clara did not die naturally. She was given slow-acting poison. Burton leaned in. Explain. Miss Marple pointed to the letters. She wrote about the threats. She wrote about the fear. She wrote about Henry's involvement after his father died. He carried the same anger and the same motives. Burton crossed his arms. Him poisoning her. Why slow acting? Because Clara was watched constantly, Miss Marple said. Nurse Grant would have noticed sudden symptoms. Slow medicine mimics illness. Henry knew that. Burton frowned. And the study? Staged, Miss Marple said. Henry searched nightly. He tore drawers open. He broke the tin hinge. He climbed through windows. He left footprints and soil. He dropped his leather glove. Burton nodded slowly. All matching the evidence you found outside. Exactly, Miss Marple said. He needed the ledger. He needed the truth destroyed. Burton stepped toward the window, his hands behind his back. And Martha? He threatened her too? Yes, Miss Marple said firmly. He cornered her, tried to silence her, tried to intimidate her, because she saw him searching Clara's room. Burton's expression hardened. That's enough for arrest. Not just that, Miss Marple added. He stole the tin. He opened it. He removed the contents after Clara died. He believed the ledger was inside. He was wrong. Burton turned sharply. Where was the ledger? Hidden deeper, Miss Marple said. In the sewing drawer, a place he overlooked. Burton nodded. Then he killed for nothing. Yes, Miss Marple said. And now the truth stands against him. The study door opened suddenly. Henry stepped in. Face pale, eyes fierce. What's going on? He demanded. Burton turned toward him. Henry Whitfield, you are under arrest. Henry froze. No, you can't. You have nothing. Burton raised a hand. We have everything. Miss Marple held the ledger up. Henry went still, completely still. The truth had reached him. At last. He tried to speak. Failed. Then tried again. I didn't mean... Burton cuffed him. You poisoned Clara. You searched her study. You threatened the maid. You hid stolen documents. You failed to destroy the evidence. Henry's face twisted. His voice cracked. She ruined everything. Miss Marple stepped back. Her work is complete. But even as Henry was taken away, Miss Marple sensed the case was not finished, not until Eliza had the ledger in her hands. Miss Marple sat quietly in the front room. The house felt still again. Not heavy, not tense, just still. She thought about Clara, a calm woman, a patient woman, a woman who carried more burdens than anyone guessed. Clara protected others for years, protected Daniel, protected Eliza, protected the truth when no one else dared. She held every painful detail alone. Miss Marple knew secrets destroy families. Slowly, quietly, piece by piece. They make people hide. They make people fear. They make people hurt each other without meaning to. Clara hid her sorrow behind kindness, behind gentle smiles, behind careful silence. But sorrow does not stay silent forever. It surfaces. It shapes choices. It shapes consequences. The village returned to calm now. No more searching, no more threats, no more shadows near the hawthorn tree. Martha stood at the doorway. A little steadier, a little braver. Clara had left Hawthorne House to her, not as a reward, but as trust, real trust. Miss Marple placed a hand on Martha's arm. You will manage well, she said. Martha nodded softly. I'll try. Miss Marple smiled faintly. That is enough. The quiet settled again. A single hawthorn flower rested on Clara's old desk. Still, white, untouched. Miss Marple placed it there herself. Not for show, not for ceremony. Just truth. Truth in its simplest form. The desk held no secrets now. No hidden letters. No stolen papers. No shadows waiting in. Corners. Only the flower. It lay exactly where Clara once kept her worries, exactly where she hid her fears, exactly where she protected others. Martha stood in the doorway, quiet, respectful. She understood what the flower meant. A reminder, a promise, a lesson. Miss Marple stepped back slowly. She looked at the desk one last time. The case was finished. The truth had surfaced. Nothing loud, nothing harsh, just final. The flower remained. Truth settles quietly, even when buried deep. Davis returns softly. Thanks you for staying till the end. He asks gently, what clue surprised you first? And where are you listening from tonight? He invites you to share your thoughts below. Every comment helps keep these quiet mysteries alive. Then he teases tomorrow's tale. A new village, a new whisper, a new secret waiting in the quiet. And he ends with the ritual line, tomorrow, another kettle will boil.